Eddie, I want to talk a little bit about St. Michael before we get into the phase 2 again, the deep dive. St. Michael saved a girl's life here. It says, never underestimate the power of St. Michael the Archangel. Sandra of Ocala, Florida, found firsthand she prayed a novena to the Archangel for her son to overcome an addiction. He was eventually healed. However, Sandra never imagined what her heavenly protector was about to do for her. On the morning of May 12, 2021, she fell asleep at the wheel of her car, which went catapulting end over end through a cow pasture. It flipped 7 times, and the first responders are not sure how. But Sandra was ejected from the car and found peacefully lying in a patch of wildflowers. She was flown to a nearby hospital and spent the next days recovering from 8 fractured ribs, a punctured lung, and a lacerated eye caused by being thrown through a barbed wire fence when she ejected. Little did she know that St. Michael was preparing something even more unexpected in her life. 2 weeks later, Sandra received a call from Bob at American East Fatima. He wanted to schedule a visit of the pilgrim statue of Our Lady of Fatima with someone named Mary. He dialed the wrong number. Sandra was a devotee of St. Michael, but she was not on the American East Fatima list. In fact, she was not even a Catholic. Nevertheless, she enthusiastically asked if Our Lady could visit her home. On June 16, 2021, American East Fatima volunteer Zechariah Long and I took Our Lady to the home of this devotee of St. Michael. On the table reserved for Our Lady, we were touched to see a statue of the winged warrior. We were both impressed by her devotion and marveled at what St. Michael has done for this woman. He had not only healed her son, but saved her from what had been a violent death. We were now standing in her home with the statue of the Blessed Mother. We took the opportunity to give her a rosary and a booklet explaining how to pray it. Since Our Lady's visit, Sandra has expressed a desire to convert to the Catholic faith, and steps are being taken to fulfill her wish. This story should inspire those who have lost belief in the holy angels and their solicitude from our well-being. God did not just create angels to help little children cross over a bridge. They have an unbelievable power to convert souls trapped in addiction and prevent physical catastrophes. Indeed, Bob did not dial the wrong number, but called the person for whom St. Michael had a special love. Eddie, there's a lot of stories like this in Catholic history.
Yeah, just, we don't stop to realize how active our angels really are. And I think that's the lesson to be learned here, is that we have to think about how active they are. They're put here for a reason. Just angels are messengers of God. That's what the name actually means. And so when we have a story like this, there's a very definite message that goes out and converts her, essentially. Basically, is what's going to happen.
That's right. And Eddie, a lot of people don't realize that St. Michael also had a very important role in the deliverance of Robbie Mannheim, who was the kid who, it was actually the true character that Linda Blair played in the movie The Exorcist. The kid's name was Robbie Mannheim. It was a boy and not a girl. And what ended up happening in that story is Robbie Mannheim was in the hospital, and towards the end of the exorcism, after weeks of being prayed for it, he's in a hospital. And they had him in a psych ward, Eddie, Robbie Mannheim, this 15-year-old kid. This group of priests, the Alexian Brothers, it's an order, they brought a statue of St. Michael to his room, to the psych ward. And so Robbie had been taught the St. Michael the Archangel prayer. And the statue was in his room. Can you just imagine that? Well, the story goes as the way it ended. It was on Easter Monday, the Sunday after Easter, on Easter Monday. Robbie's in the psych ward and he's having these violent struggles, these violent, manifestations. And all of a sudden, out of Robbie's mouth, this 15-year-old boy, came out a voice that was clear. And it said, quote, "Satan, I am Saint Michael, and I command you, Satan, and the other evil spirits to leave the body in the name of Dominus," which is the Latin word for Lord. And St. Michael said, "Immediately, now. So for the next couple of minutes, Nurses witnessed it, that Robbie was screaming and twisting. And then after a few minutes, Robbie Mannheim, this 15-year-old boy that was possessed, emerged from this trance, and he calmly told the nurses and the doctor and the priest that was there, he's gone. He's gone. Well, what happened? St. Michael showed up, and St. Michael, with a flaming sword in his hand, said, hey, it's time for you to leave now. It's time. And so the true story is Robbie Mannheim was actually delivered in his hospital bed, not by priest, but by St. Michael the Archangel.
Yes, one of the things I remember hearing from the seminarian that tells a certain story of this exact exorcism that you're talking about was that in the hospital, what could be heard at the time that St. Michael was saying that is a huge boom. A huge boom that could be heard everywhere. And that's just beautiful, Jess. I mean, it brings tears to my eyes to know that St. Michael actually showed up, actually manifested his own in his own way, that he was able to speak and become audible to us. So that's the beautiful part of it, is that angels are very much part of our lives, and we have to give them their due.
Yeah, that's why as a Catholic, you should be praying the St. Michael the Archangel as part of your morning prayer, as part of your evening prayer. And when you go to Mass, if they don't do it at your parish, you should be, after Mass, get on your knees and do the St. Michael the Archangel prayer before you leave the church. Eddie, there's also another very famous story you've heard about in what happened in the Korean War, about St. Michael showed up there as well to a Marine. Very famous story. It's called St. Michael, and the Marine. It was back in the Korean War, back in 1950. And this story, apparently it's told every single year to all four branches of the service. And St. Michael. So the story is told by this Navy chaplain, Father Walter Muddy. This is back in 1950. You got, during the Korean War, all of a sudden, this big Marine showed up in this platoon, and this younger Marine looks at him and says, "Hey, where are you? I've never seen you before. What's your name?" He goes, "Oh, my name's Michael." "Really?" He goes, "I've never seen you before." He goes, "This guy was a big guy." He says, "I got separated from my platoon. Then I was surrounded by some Koreans, some communist Koreans. And I said, oh no, they got the draw on me, and there's more of them. They engaged in a firefight." He goes, "I just fell down. I felt like I got hit. I just engaged in a firefight." And he goes, "And all of a sudden I looked up." He goes, "And this big Marine that I didn't know where he came from, that just joined our platoon, he took out a sword. And as I'm on the floor writhing in pain, he took out a sword and he went after these Koreans." He says, "I kind of went unconscious for a little while. When I woke up, there was a dozen dead Koreans that had been killed with a sword. The platoon sergeant and the platoon finds this guy again, and they said, 'Congratulations, young Marine. You just killed 12 Korean communists with a sword.' And he says, 'Sergeant, it wasn't me.' Goes, 'What do you mean it wasn't you? You're the only one that was here.' 'No, there's a big guy named Michael in the platoon. He's a big guy, Goes, 'No, there isn't. I know all the people in my platoon.' He goes, 'There is no Michael in the platoon. And what you're describing, there is no big Marine Michael in the platoon.' He goes, 'Hey, just, congratulations. Don't be so humble. Congratulations. You single-handedly with a sword killed 12 Koreans.' And so goes the story, Eddie."
Yeah, Jess, that goes to show you how eternity and reality have a way they overlap, Jess. There are certain times in human history when these things happen, and we're blessed to have them happen, because look at the fruit of that. Just to know that St. Michael's here.
Yep, as we say in Catholicism, there's a thin veil between this world and the next world, Eddie.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we'll be back.
Weekdays.